Hey everybody! Tonight on Craft Beers Nation's Friday Night Hangout, we're talking about the great outdoors, and this can be anything. This can be beer that you want to drink from a can, or it can be anything really. It can be even be just beer that you want to drink.
Can it be
So
about my purple lipstick?
no, because that's not beer that nobody want to drink. It's just lipstick.
But it's pretty. Look at it.
But it's not beer. So anyway, before we get started, we just want to remind y'all that we have a show called Pints and Quarts. It was on last night. It was real good. We were on with Dewclaw. Those guys were great. So if you get a chance, go to the YouTube page and subscribe and listen, or you can listen to the podcast. It's on
One of them sides.
it's on Stitcher, it's on iTunes, and all that good stuff.
MySpace.
So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce the cast. Gil, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, lady?
Oh, I'm doing fine, Gil. Thank you for asking.
And looking fine.
Lola, how are you?
Oh,
I'm
dear
peachy
Lord.
keen.
Okay. Just joining us, fresh from upstate New York, Charles Dunkley. How you doing, Charles?
I'm doing mighty fine.
The Alabama's coming through. I like it.
Oh, my goodness.
Freddie Rodriguez, what's up, man? How are you?
Oh, he broke character.
Why do you change your voice for me, man?
He broke character.
I'm
I
doing
can
great.
never go the
Doing
whole
great.
thing, man.
Doing good. I'm doing good.
Jeffrey J. Davis, how are you, man?
Good. Pass the helium, bro.
Linda Dean, mid-sip. I called her mid-sip.
What happened to you, Randetta? I love that, Randetta. You're so beautiful.
So sweet.
I'm recovering after my birthday. After my birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah.
So
It
you're in
was
post you're in post hangover mode, about to go back into hangover mode tonight. Double fisting at home. That's baller right there. Michael.
What's
Michael
up?
Tangent. How are you, man? Long time, eh?
I know, it's been way too long.
You're skinnier and everything.
Yeah, skinny. Us
Jeez.
biking and running hard, watching
Wow.
Poncha drink. It's not as much fun.
No, man.
But I earn my beer.
There you go.
And someone's joining you, too. Who's joining you?
This would be my son, Christopher.
Hi, Christopher.
Hi.
He is representing Founders Breakfast Stout today.
Yeah.
That's where their kid went.
I work out so that I can drink beer. So
That's right.
my body is not changing. It's just staying the same as it is maintained. And just joining us is Doug Nolan. Doug, what up? What up?
No,
a whole lot. How are you guys?
All right. So Gil, I know that you're busy at the moment, so I'm gonna skip you. I'll come back to you, unless you want to go.
No, go ahead. Skip
All right.
me.
So Lola, unmute yourself and share your beverage with the group. What are you drinking, Lola? You know how I started that with Lola.
Frozen.
Unmute yourself and share your beer with the group. No? All
I
right.
think she's frozen.
No, she's not.
Not frozen, she's just muted.
She's drinking Dasani
Just
tonight.
unmute herself. Yeah.
We'll come back to her.
Well, I see everybody, like on my screen, I see everybody moving but her. She's just like, I know.
Wait,
Y'all muted me.
there we go.
Okay, there you go.
I muted myself and someone
Yeah,
muted me.
I can unmute you, so I was unmuting you, and then you unmute yourself, and then it turns into mute. All right, whatever.
We got
the
it.
follies of the Friday night hangout.
What are you
All right.
drinking tonight, Lola?
So you know that I have to take a theme and do my own spin on it, right?
Sure.
All right. So when people think about the great outdoors, you know, they think about hiking and camping and snake fighting and boating and stuff like that. But there's something that a lot of people don't give its due credit, and that's voodoo, doing voodoo rituals outdoors. So I got Great Juju by Left Hand Brewing.
Okay, a couple things.
Where do we start?
Yeah.
Okay. Before we get into your beer, snake fighting.
Snake
That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Well,
Yeah.
snake fighting, snake handling. Actually, snake handling is probably what I was trying to say.
Oh, stop.
That is some
That's some double entendre there.
That's some North Central Florida stuff right there. Lola's talking about.
Well, you know, when the lights go out and you don't have much else to do, you got to use nature, right?
Fight snakes.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
That's what we do when you're surrounded by trees and dirt roads.
And then you went to doing voodoo outside. You all right, Lola? You? All right. So let's go. How's the beer? Wait. First of all, who brews that?
Left Hand Brewing.
Oh yeah, Juju. Okay. Yeah.
It's really good. It's called Great Juju, huh?
What style is it?
It is an Imperial Ginger Pale Ale. So heavy duty and ginger. And I like it because the ginger's really light. It really tastes herbed. It's not like sweet like some ginger ales. It's just got a light dusting of ginger herb on it. Otherwise, it's a pretty nice pale ale.
It's actually called a good juju, not just juju.
Yeah, this is good juju.
Yeah.
There's
See,
bad juju.
I just can't wrap my hands around or my head around this concept of an Imperial Pale Ale. Like, why not just call it an IPA? Like, I mean, maybe I'm tripping. Whatever.
Maybe it doesn't
Well,
have as many hops.
it's a vegetable. It's only 4.5%. So I guess it's semantics there. What you want to call it? you know.
Wait. It's a 4.5% beer that's called an Imperial Pale Ale.
It's not called Imperial Pale Ale. I think that's I thought
Nice.
that is a different. Good Juju from Left Hand is it's a vegetable beer. It's like a spiced beer. It's a ginger beer.
Ginger beer.
This is 7.2%.
So that's why they call it Imperial. It must be an Imperial version of the normal Good Juju. Oh, that's
great
That's
juju.
great
Juju.
juju. Not good juju.
Okay.
So, yeah. They rocked it up a little bit for us.
Rocked it up.
Sorry, I'm making up phrases tonight.
Okay.
Lola is like a gypsy. Every night she has a different background. She's just moving around the house, whatever her.
Well, it's my studio. I mean, I pay good money for this every month, so I'm using every inch of it. I was outside for Scanner Drum last time. That was fun.
Doug is amusing himself there.
Doug's got hair. That's awesome.
I almost had his play with himself, but then I realized it wouldn't be a good sentence.
So Lola, are you happy with the beer?
I'm quite happy. I may not even need a bottle stopper.
Oh snap!
Wow.
We're in for a night.
That's how you know it got real.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't even have a
going down.
stopper.
It's going down tonight.
All
It's
here.
going down for real.
Purple and all.
So Gil, are you ready or are you still working?
No, I can talk about my beer. I think the outdoors thing, I know people connect it to light beer, so you can drink more, many times you can. But in this case, I only have like a 5% beer, but I don't mind to have a very hoppy, high IBU. It's in the end of the day, I'm camping, and I'm soon gonna lay on my hammock and sleep. I can have a big beer if no problem, but now my beer today is from a brewery nearby, which they're making crowlers, which I love crowlers. Just enough beer that you can drink on your own, and this is a Belgian pale ale, which is nice. There's a little more yeasty kind of a flavor to it. The head is gone now, but it's very nice. It's a little bready for a pale ale, comparing to American pale ales. I guess that's why they call it Belgian. And the hoppiness is a little low. It's not very high. But that's easily I'm already almost done with my growler, and we are only 12 minutes into the show. So
Nice. Start strong, finish strong.
Yeah.
But hey, Gil, it looked pretty. Didn't look very heavily carbed, and for this.
No,
crowd,
it was carbed on the first glass.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the problems when you open a crowler and you stay there. Maybe I should have just have something to sit on top of it. I don't know if that would help.
You can't expect it to hold its carb for 12 minutes.
Right, and I'm in the last third of the bottles, the crowler. So, I'll have to say though, when I got it, it was very cold, and now that warmed a little bit, I was surprised to say normally I like my my pale ales on the colder end of it. But this is actually bringing very nice. I'm getting a little bit of hoppiness, but a lot of the yeast on the warmer side, which is pretty nice. Very easy to drink. So to me, when outdoor, if you're thinking a hot day, you want to drink something light. But again, I can easily drink a porter on a hot day and be camping somewhere. It wouldn't bother me at all.
So, so here's the thing. Like, I really like crowlers too, and even before like crowlers kind of became more and more popular at breweries, especially here on the East Coast. A lot of times when I went to a brewery to get a growler, I would almost always get a 32-ounce growler, simply because I don't. There are very few beers that I care to drink 64 ounces of in one sitting. So the 32-ounce growler, in my opinion, is the perfect size because that's. I mean, well, depending on the size of your glass, I mean that can be 2 pours or 3, right at 3. So that's the perfect size for me. So I really love crowlers, and if I were gonna go camping and my local brewery had a beer that I thought was awesome, I would definitely get a crowler and take that with me as opposed to taking a mix 6.
I totally agree. Yeah. And mainly, it's sometimes you don't want to commit to a big thing, and like this is just a beer that it comes out once a year, and this first time I'm having this particular beer. So it's hard when you get a big growler, and you have to commit and to try to drink that all at once. Because I don't know about other people, but if I open a growler, either go or go. If I don't drink it all, it's just gonna go to the drains. I cannot just close and try to drink it the next day unless something's very heavy.
There's a brewery here that does a double IPA. Well, I say not here, but back home, since I'm on the road. But they do a seasonal double IPA. They've only brewed it like 3 times, and it's like 9.5% alcohol. And I bought like 2 or 3 32-ounce growlers of it. Just because I'm not gonna sit down and drink a 64-ounce growler of a 9.5-10% alcohol double IPA. Not that I wouldn't. Don't put me up to the challenge, but not typically.
Yeah. Charles, what are you drinking tonight, man?
I have a from brewery Omegang. It's just their summer beer. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Fleur de Houblon.
Fleur de Houblon.
Yeah, flower of the hops.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Flower of the hops. Yeah.
It means flower of the hops.
Yeah.
Beautiful label.
Yeah, it's a Belgian pale ale, and it's got full cone Bravo hops in it.
Oh, it's straight. It's single hopped.
I think he got muted.
Muted somehow.
Yeah.
Someone muted Charles.
He's not
right,
talking.
I'm back
I
on
don't
now.
think he's just looking up into space, enjoying that beer.
Is it single hop, Charles?
Yeah, the only hop they mention on the website is the Bravo hop. So,
Okay.
and it's their Belgian. It's basically a version of their Belgian pale ale, but hopped with Bravo.
How is it?
It's nice.
I'm not familiar with Bravo hops at all. So.
From what I saw online, they're similar to Chinook in a way. They're pretty acidic hop. It's got your typical Belgian yeast, your Omegang yeast, so you have that slight peppery taste to it, and it's got a light citrus, a light floral, and there is a hop bitterness there. It's not a hoppy beer, but it definitely has that bittering taste to it. It's pretty nice.
I find it more similar to Columbus hop than.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can't identify Columbus hops.
Okay.
Like I think I can identify Simcoe. I can definitely identify Galaxy, Citra, maybe Centennial. Almost all. Well, I'm about to say all the C hops, but that would be Columbus. Yeah, there's some hops I'm familiar with, and there are a lot more that I'm totally unfamiliar with.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
isn't the whole
Columbus a little.
Columbus thing the CTZ, the Columbus Tomahawk Zeus?
Yeah, the Columbus has a more floral notes, and a little spiciness to it. Oh my goodness, I'm drunk already.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Did you ever brew with Columbus, Michael?
I've never brewed with floral nuts before.
I don't brew with nuts.
Nuts, no. Floral notes. Oh my goodness. Okay,
I was just,
next.
I was,
Yeah,
I
yes,
was
I've
looking
used.
online here, and it does say Bravo similar to Zeus, Tomahawk, and Columbus. So
Okay.
That is correct.
All right.
it's earthy, spicy, floral.
Oh,
Zeus, never heard about of Zeus hops. Is that
It's a Greek hop. It's the god of all hops.
But you almost never. I think, and I may be wrong here, but you almost never find Zeus hops by itself. It's always in CTZ. I mean, I've never heard of anybody brewing singularly with Zeus hops, but I don't know everything about beer, so. Doug Nolan.
Well, I'm sure someone out there has single hopped it with Zeus.
Yeah. Have
Seven.
you? Michael's gonna do that
I
tomorrow.
don't know. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow.
Doug, what are you drinking?
Well, when I think of the great outdoors, I think of booze, bourbon, chocolate, some nice roast notes. Usually in the
He's drinking a KBS.
Bourbon County.
I don't drink that swill.
Oh, I'm sorry, BCBS.
Yeah.
So I go with the
Typecast.
old 2012 Bourbon County.
That 2012, I think, in my opinion, Doug, the sweet spot for that beer is right at about 3 years. So it's probably tasting real good right now, I bet.
This is the, I guess, the 15% ABV version. And this is one of the few that I've liked from fresh to now. I thought it was so sweet, and it wasn't overly hot for being 15% alcohol. It wasn't just complete booze bomb. It's been easy drinking like from the get go. Yeah, I love it. I've always loved the old Bourbon County. And if you guys are curious about my friend here, we are on vacation this week, and I am sitting in a children's wicker chair, and in the desk beside me, this little bobblehead was in the drawer.
So when you get up to grab a beer, that wicker chair is going to be stuck on your ass as you go over the cooler, right?
I think that's a little guy from Mr. Peabody and what was that? Mr. Peabody and Chairman. Yeah.
I'm waiting for.
Buddy.
I am waiting for it to just like crash out from underneath me, but
the legs go out. Like.
Well, it was a toss up between the Bourbon County Stout and the Bourbon County Barley Wine, so I couldn't really make
Such
up
a
my mind.
good barley wine. That should be a barley wine stout or barley wine porter or something like that.
You know how I feel about AB and Bev, so I hate to say that, and it hurts me every time I say that. But those are such good beers.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're fantastic. Like that's the thing about these beers. Like every time, like I want to go to the Barrel Aged Sexual Chocolate release. I've done every year for the last 4 years. So like, I'd rather just save my money and skip out on that to get this. Like every time I drink a Bourbon Barrel Stout, like I compare them all to this because I mean this beer is, when it comes to like a Bourbon Barrel Stout, it's perfect.
And that's where my palate and my beliefs crash. You just go like, you get torn about.
Yeah. It does pain me to buy that beer, but I typically grab a bottle or two when it comes out, or maybe a pour on tap if I come across it.
Yeah. Independent of the owner's business practice, if you talk about the beer solely, that beer is just.
Oh, no doubt about it.
It's well made. It's probably one of the best things on the market.
And that's because Goose Island structured their deal to where Anheuser-Busch kept their hands off of that beer.
Well, let's hope that that's going to be like that for a long time.
Yeah. Freddie.
What's up?
What you drinking, bro?
So not in particular, I guess nothing super outdoor themed or anything, but of course you can drink this anytime. It's I went local with a newer brewery. It's Boom Sauce by Lord Hobo Brewing, and
What was it called?
Boom.
Boom
Boom
sauce.
Sauce. It's an IPA, 8%,
That's-
and I'll give you a little a quick rundown. But Lord Hobo is a bar here in Cambridge, Mass. It's been around for a long time. Uh, Crazy good craft selection. Always, things rotating now, things on cast, nitro, everything. Awesome place. So they kind of kept it under wraps somehow. They started building a brewery, 47,000 square feet, and it has a 200,000 barrel capacity. And they opened up. Yeah, they opened up about I want to say about 2 months ago. Officially started canning some tall boys.
Damn, wait. They came out of the gates with 200,000 barrel capacity?
Well, they're hoping. I guess they're hoping they're shooting for they're slating now. They're about 10,000 first year, but they're at capacity when they're fully going. They're going to shoot for 200,000 barrels.
Even 10,000 is huge. I mean,
Huge. Yeah, that's a big system.
Yeah, it's gargantuous. I mean, if I don't know if you guys have been to Harpoon here, but they're literally like maybe a couple hundred square feet smaller than Harpoon. Harpoon's enormous, and it's good. I mean, the beer is really good. It's an IPA. A little bit again. So from what I've been hearing, I guess they poured this at the Extreme Beer Fest here in Boston prior to ever being canned, and it got some good feedback. And I guess what happened was they kind of, with the brewery opening and the canning and all that stuff, and they're getting pushed out, they kind of rushed the first couple batches of this, and it wasn't exactly how they wanted it. So actually, at their bar now, they have the new batches on draft already, and they're pushing that out. As the better of the Boom Sauce, they have another double IPA, and a few other. It's mostly they got some like 3 different IPAs, a double IPA, and I believe a barley wine right now. And
Freddie.
Yep,
When is the Extreme Beer Fest?
I believe it was in May.
Oh,
May, I believe, every year.
It's getting
trying to-
bigger and bigger every year. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. I mean, everyone goes there.
I'm gonna try to make it next year.
Let me know, definitely. But,
we should
it's
take
awesome,
a
man.
road
It's-
trip. What about a
it's-
road trip, Randy?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm with it.
I just want to give some props to my glass here.
Is that Angry Man or Bad Man or
That's a gift from my friend Michael Tengen. He's in the Hangout there.
Dangerous Man?
Yep, Dangerous Man.
Angry Man, Bad Man,
Yeah.
Dangerous
Oh my
Man.
God.
I just love this logo. I just think the logo is so awesome.
It's one of the best breweries in Minnesota, and you can only get it on premise.
Nice.
It's fantastic beer.
Before Gail cut me off, this brew is really good. I mean, it's not like these other Northeast big IPAs that everyone's ranting and raving about, but a little maltier than that, and not as much as that. Like the dry finish, not too much of that. It doesn't have too much of those like mango, peach, like passion fruit notes from like Galaxy or Mosaic. You get hits you up front, but it's a solid brew nonetheless. It's really good, and you can drink it anytime. 8%, not too bad. Your lines will stay straight every moment.
You said 8%?
Yeah.
Sessionable?
Yeah.
Do they distribute?
Negative.
Yeah, they do.
With a system
Well,
that big, they better be
No,
planning
I'm
on
sorry. Well,
distributing.
no. Just
They just opened the doors, right?
New England. They're getting in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Maine. But I
Alright.
guess the guy's moving. I mean, they must have connects, man, because they're moving.
It's
fast.
so funny. It's so funny you said 8%, and Randy said sessionable.
Totally. Totally. And the tall boy.
Well, as I'm
tall boy.
slugging a 15% beer,
Right.
We're a bunch of
Shit.
drunks that we think, yeah, 8%. Yeah, I didn't hit
Perfect.
10%. Yeah.
I went to lunch. Never mind. Jeffrey, what
Yeah.
are you drinking?
So I know this thing was really supposed to be kind of drinker's choice, but I took this great outdoors thing to heart. So I'm basically going to be drinking all canned beers. And to me the great outdoors means a beer that I would put in my my little small cooler or the pocket on my kite bag and take to the beach, or take out in my backpack, you know, on a mountain bike or something like that. So this is Karbach's Hop Delusion. So Karbach is one of the kind of probably the second, you know, major craft brewery in Houston. They're really good beers. I think this is their best beer. So this is it's a seasonal, comes out. They usually release it in May and June. So it's a double IPA. It's 9%. It's got a huge dank nose when you open the thing up. It's mostly like mosaic, some Simcoe, and I think they use like Amarillo, but it's one of those. It's more like in the kind of the tropical, you know, the tropical category. So you get a lot of kind of starburst juicy fruit, and you know, kind of like Freddie was saying, passion fruit, and you know, kind of a little floral. The taste isn't as tropical as the nose, but it's really nice. It reminds me a lot of Deschutes Fresh Squeezed. It's similar to that. You know, not super malty. It's over 100 IBUs, but it's not a palate wrecker. It's pretty drinkable, really drinkable. It's sessionable. I've pounded 2 of these in like 10 minutes before, you know, if you're thirsty and it's hot. So they're, you know, great beer. It's usually around for, you know, probably through the end of July, and then it's usually gone. But if you ever see it, it's pretty nice.
That hop profile you described sounds like something from like New Zealand, Australia.
Yeah, it doesn't. They don't use any Southern Hemisphere hops. It's you know, basic stuff. I mean, Mosaic, Simcoe, Amarillo. I think a little bit of Magnum. But it's just the combination. You know, it's kind of, you got that palate and the way you add them and mix them, and you can get really kind of those different kind of you know, aromas and flavors.
Okay.
It's good beer though. I like it.
Nice, man. You were thorough.
Sorry, I tried to just stay on point and like get it done, you know, so Gil couldn't cut in on me, you know.
But you know what?
I never cut in on you. Come on.
I appreciate that because Linda's probably struggling to try to stay on her first beer right now.
That's what I was. I've been like nursing this thing. I had Lola's nipple on the top of this thing, drinking it slow.
All right, Linda, what are you drinking?
Well, I went with Market of Choices. Actually, Market of Choices recommendation for a summer outdoorsy type beer, and I chose Pig War by Hopworks Urban Brewery.
Okay.
This is a white India Pale Ale, and it's actually an IPA that's kind of mixed styles with a wheat. So you get a little bit of tanginess from the wheat, you get a lot of the Northwest hops, and you get just a touch of biscuity flavor. It's only 6%, so yeah, right after I'm finished, introducing the beer, this thing's going down. Definitely drinkable, and man, I would drink this with tacos. Like tacos would be fantastic, right outside on the lawn.
Yeah, the white IPA, that nice, kind of delicate but still kind of hoppy. Probably plays really well with the different variations you can put on a taco.
Oh yeah.
Maybe like white cheese on the taco. You know, some kind of white cheese.
Yeah. Pepper jack, you know.
Yeah.
Or then again, if you just go in the fridge and you throw whatever you have onto a tortilla, it would work with that too.
There's no single cheese like Velveeta.
Oh my goodness!
You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
Cheese.
I really like it, and I'll definitely buy it again.
Nice.
Velveeta.
But Linda, that's kind of a local. I've never heard of that brewery. Is that kind of local regional distribution thing, you think?
Yeah, Hub is pretty much from Portland West.
Okay.
So far. Now they're going back and forth with a couple of other places, and their canning line is expanding. So I'm expecting to see a lot more of their beers, including darker beers, coming out in cans, and I'll definitely be trying those too.
Nice.
They do my favorite single hopped Mount Hood ale in their IPX series.
So you said they're Portland West.
Yes, Portland South, I guess.
Oh, I was about to say.
The ocean. If you're out in the ocean, you can find it. But
I was gonna say, on some island, they're getting lots of this beer. Okay. Michael, what are you drinking, man?
I'm on my second beer because it took long to get to me. The first one,
Sorry about that.
the first one is this raspberry ale from Dark Horse,
And that's from the guy who said he's being careful with what you're drinking, right?
yeah. So that's saying something. This is a pass. It tasted okay, but the carbonation, it was like they weren't even trying.
That blows.
So,
I've never heard that on a review before.
no,
But that's a good brewery. Most of what they make is pretty solid.
Yeah, it was like there's no carbonation.
Yeah.
And so when I think outdoors beer, like if I'm camping, if I want to enjoy a good beer, I want something that's going to have some sort of fruit infusion, something that's light-bodied, something that's going to be really clean and refreshing. That's going to, when I've been doing a trail run or I've been out hiking or setting up the tent, you're all sweaty, I want a nice, clean, refreshing beer. And the second beer is go-to for me, Ballast Point.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Grapefruit. Grapefruit Sculpin's really good. The other one that I really like that I don't have right now, some people diss it, but I really enjoy it, the Schaffenhofer Grapefruit Shandy from Germany.
I actually drink that. Yeah, I actually drink that on a fairly regular basis.
So good. It's only like 2.5%, which is basically like water to some
So
of the...
explain a shandy. Explain a shandy to me. Explain a shandy to me. Maybe
it's synonymous with Radler. So their shandy is kind of it's pretty much the same thing.
Okay, because
it's a fruit juice infused beer where it's usually like a 50-50 combination. You have 50% fruit juice. In the case of Schaffenhofer, it's real grapefruit juice with probably like a blonde ale or a Hefeweizen or whatever, some sort of lighter beer style.
Because I have a problem with shandy beers, and maybe I just didn't approach it the right way. It always tastes like water to me, but maybe that's how it should be.
It's supposed to be a very light, refreshing beer that you would originally the Germans made it as a beer to not only extend the life of whatever they had on tap, but as a refreshing thing for passersby, people that had been hiking through and stopping at their remote villages or whatever. And so it was a way of extending the life of their beer.
So it has its place.
Yes, it does.
See, Gil, don't drink a Rattler expecting Bigfoot barley wine, okay?
No. Wait, when I was in Germany, they had what they call the biker's beer, which is they put ginger ale or some soda into it.
That's a Rattler.
So I guess that's So I guess that's the same idea.
Same thing.
Biker's beer, hiker's beer, you name it. It's supposed to be something clean, refreshing, revive you, and get you back out on the trails.
Interesting.
Awesome. Well, I am drinking. I went ahead and just made this drinker's choice tonight. I'm drinking a Stone Ruin 10 Triple IPA. I could have sworn that for the last 2, 3, 4, about 3 years that this beer was called just a double IPA, but now it says triple IPA on the bottle. I don't know, maybe, whatever. Beer clocks in at 11.8%. I have no idea what the hop profile is, but I can tell you that it's dank, and I think dank is exactly what they were going for. They call this like a stage dive into a mosh pit of hops. So knowing Stone, this beer probably has like 5 different hop varieties in it. So I mean, it's going to be hard. I just got through naming hops that I couldn't identify.
They're all in there.
Yeah,
needless to say, it's over 100 IBUs and it's over 10%. So
yeah,
it's sessionable.
I imagine.
That sounds great for fishing.
Absolutely.
Sounds
but
great
I imagine
it
would be difficult for anybody to identify the hops. in this beer, I would think, because it's just an amalgamation of a lot of hops. I think. I mean, it's hard to identify any one thing, but I will say I got to give it to Stone, man. They do really good like artwork on their bottles, man. It's hard for me to throw away their bottles because they do such good artwork and they're printed on their bottles and everything. But nonetheless, I'm drinking Ruin 10. That's my great outdoors beer. If I'm gonna go camping, it's okay. I can take this because I'm a good steward of the earth, and if I take it with me, I'm gonna bring
Pack it
back
out.
with me.
I wonder if they're calling triple because they changed the recipe because that was beer was launched for the 10th anniversary, and at the time they called it Imperial IPA. So I'm not sure.
Well, according to the bottle, it says that
It's 2012. Their anniversary
2012,
beer. Yeah.
and basically everybody was like, you got to keep making it, so they just kept making it. So that's why we still have it today.
They bend to the will of the people.
Yep. It says if Stone Ruination IPA is a liquid poem to the glory of the hop, then Stone Ruination 10th Anniversary IPA was a stage dive into a mosh pit of hops. So there you go.
Get dirty with hops.
Yeah, I think what they did, they took a Ruination and increased it. They made that like over 100 IBUs for the 10th anniversary, just like like Stone style, just make it very.
Yeah, they turned it up.
This one goes to 11.
Yeah,
Turn
exactly.
it to 11.
So Ruin 10 goes to 11.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
So is anybody on a second beer, Gil?
I am. I have Super
Okay,
Session for Law, Lawson's finest liquid. Man, this beer is. I can tell you what.
Is it super sessionable?
That's super sessional. They don't disclose what's the hops of this beer on their website, but I can tell you with no doubt that this is like they drop a bag of Centennial in this thing. It's like it's only 4.8%, but you get Centennial all the way through into the smell and as you drink it. And it's funny. As I drink, I would guess was a higher ABV, and more IBUs than that they have on their website here. But yeah, this is a bit. They did a really beautiful job. That's probably my third or fourth beer from Lawson's.
They are incredible.
Yeah, they're very good.
Whatever they're doing, they shouldn't stop. I mean, the beer looks beautiful.
Yep.
At under 5%, tastes like a big IPA. Smell amazing, but yeah, this is Centennial. I mean, lots of Centennial hops on this thing. It's
that beer is brewed because they're brewing at Two Roads in Connecticut now, Lawson's. So
Okay.
they ship their water from Vermont.
Wow.
Their first brewery to Connecticut to brew now for Sips of Sunshine, and that Super Session was brewed there as well.
Nice.
So they're
Have
really
they ever heard of Science?
yeah, like they can actually get the everything
Same
from
water
salt and
profile,
stuff.
but yeah.
I think what it is, Randy. I think they're like superstitious, dude. If it's not broke, don't fix
No,
it. They
but
want to use
the
that
water's
water.
the water's critical, man. Water's
Yeah,
critical.
whatever they're doing,
Thing.
I think that I think they really got into an IPA with a low ABV. There's no doubt. This is a big hoppy IPA. Lots of Centennial, lots of cat litter kind of a smell
Cat
in
litter.
it as well. Yeah.
That's what I like.
I know it's that, but that's unfortunately that's what I get when I drink beer with lots of Centennial, and to me is probably one of the hops that I'm most easier to recognize. But it's beautiful. It's a little light, but yeah, very flavorful. It's amazing what they did. And I think a lot of brewers, this is not the only beer I had this year like that, under 5%, but tastes like a big IPA. So you don't have to have big ABVs to have an awesome taste, making taste like a big beer. These guys are, doing a great. I don't know how old this brewery is, but
They've been around for a little while, right, Freddie?
okay.
7 or 8 years.
Freddie's zoned out.
Yeah.
So,
Whatever. Yeah.
How long has
see.
Lawson's been around?
Like
Oh,
7 or 8 years,
Yeah,
right?
I would say that. I'd say about 8 years.
Man, I'm
Everything else
totally
wrong.
wrong. Their bottle says the can says here it's Amarillo hops, late on the cattle.
Yeah, Amarillo is the well.
Too bad you went so heavy on your ability to identify that. But anyway.
I don't know. I would bet my life there's tons of Centennial in here, but
And
yeah,
you'd
they
be
should be
dead.
But you'd be lying in a pile of cat litter.
Michael will save me. Say,
Yeah.
that's not a big.
So I don't even know what everybody else is drinking for the second beer, but Jeffrey's already won the second beer contest.
Okay, so so this is to me, Westbrook Goza is the
Keeping it
the
proper.
classic kind of outdoor refreshing beer. And they kind of, I think they did a great job sort of starting, a little bit of a revolution around this style, a style that was really never even heard of. You never see it in the U.S. and honestly, you almost never see it in Germany unless you go to Leipzig or Berlin. You will never see a Goza. It's not.
Or unless you come to Minnesota, where we actually have German breweries that do that sort of thing.
But have there been guys, Michael, doing Gozas for 5 years, or is this in the last 24 months?
They've been doing Gozas since they've been around. They are. Shell's Brewery is a brewery down in New Ulm, Minnesota. It's in southern Minnesota, and they've been doing classic German styles for decades. They've been around.
Oh, so y'all just been holding that style hostage within the confines of Minnesota, huh?
Sharing is caring.
No, but I've had that Goza. Ashley sent a beer pack, and that was in that. That is a great beer.
Yeah, I agree. I think I haven't had any of these really authentic German ones from Minnesota, but I've probably had 7 or 8 Gozas that have come out in the last couple of years, and I just think they all pale, versus this beer. The balance is perfect. It's got the right amount of tartness. You get a little bit of salt. It's not goofy with like fake lime flavor like some of, or blood orange or any of this stuff like that. It's just a straight authentic Leipziger Goza. So it's a great beer. And unfortunately, this is my last can of this stuff, so I gotta figure out how to connect.
Damn, Jeffrey just took a shot at Anderson.
Ashley.
Anderson Valley.
I don't like that Goza. I don't think that Goza, to me, it's not. I don't like it near as much as Westbrook.
The one with the blood orange.
Yeah,
But the
I
blood
don't like it.
The blood orange, it's not bad. You may
Blood
not like
orange
it,
is
but
good.
The
I
regular
like the regular one.
the Kimmy the Yank and the Goza and the Goza I thought was kind of whack, but the blood orange one was much better.
You guys are all out of your minds. I said,
Well, see, Linda, you haven't had Westbrook's Goza yet.
you know what? That's true. That's true. If one showed up on my door, I would definitely do a side-by-side comparison and honestly say which one was better.
The Boulevard made hibiscus Goza, which was
I've never had
really
that,
good.
but I'm sure they did a nice job too.
Yeah.
And Victory makes a Goza that they put tart cherries in. It's called a Kirsch Goza.
Kirsch Goza. Yeah,
that's all right.
It's a little sweet to me. I don't know.
I thought it was a little tart.
Yeah, I thought it was a little sweet, on the sweet side for me. I don't know. It's just it wasn't bad. I know Doug is gone. I know Doug was raving about it, and Doug normally doesn't like, because that beer is under 5% too. And
That's a waste of time for him.
Yeah, and Doug loved it, so it was funny. I want to pick on him. Yeah.
Anybody else? Beer number 2. Any takers?
Hi. Heller watermelon.
That's a good beer.
Let me tell you
That's a
Linda.
classic outdoor
Linda,
beer.
That beer right there can be drank all day, every day.
Yes, it can. Friggin' 4.9%, and watermelon, and my second favorite. Okay, it's pretty equal with all my favorites. Wheat. The wheat style of beer is fantastic, and they just added the right amount of watermelon in it.
Yeah, I was about to say I like the fact that it's not overpowering with watermelon. It's like you drink it and then you're like, oh, there's a watermelon. Like
we had that together when we met at Washington, right?
Yeah, at Bricks. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
It's just like Linda said, just the right amount of watermelon. Yeah. Not overpowering, but at the same time, it's still. I think the beer still delivers on what's promised on the label. You know
I would go so far as to say this would be a good introductory beer for people who like lots of fruit. and
Oh, yeah.
haven't had a craft beer yet.
So, Michael, what would be the problems of fermenting a beer inside of a watermelon?
Inside of a watermelon?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen people doing it inside of a pumpkin.
Inside.
Well, you're only going to have about a half gallon of beer.
Yeah, that's
To
the
start
main
with.
That
Yeah.
doesn't matter. That's not
And
the
all those
question.
damn seeds.
Well, actually,
People have
actually
been
that
doing it
wouldn't
inside of pumpkin.
that wouldn't be a bad idea if you're just going to do a small experimental batch. But then again, it's half a gallon. But that's actually, I would try that.
Michael's
I
I can
wheels
see
are
the
turning.
wheels turning. The wheels are turning right there.
I mean, we got watermelons around here about this big. I mean, I think you can get more than a gallon in that damn thing. I mean, we have
The
some.
one thing that I would be nervous about is
Soak it up.
live bugs.
Yeah.
You're getting some sort of wild yeast in there, so
It's going to be pretty funky and liable to get infected.
But
well,
hold on.
What about the thickening that happens with some watermelon beers? I mean, I've made a watermelon beer that just like it was great the first couple months, and after that, I think it was like cough syrup. After that, it was horrible. I had to throw the rest of the batch out because it just got.
what did you make the watermelon beer with?
Uh,
I mean, did you use real watermelon, and when did you add
I
it?
used real watermelon in the last like 3 minutes of the boil.
Oh, really? I would have totally thrown that in the secondary.
I still wasn't very experienced at that point.
All right.
And it came out, the taste was fine, but after a couple of months, it got so thick. It was just disgusting.
How much watermelon did you add?
I got
I'm picking your brain here, but just to see what you did.
1 quart of watermelon to the gallon that I had made.
Okay. Oh, so you did a 1 gallon batch.
Yeah, I did a 1 gallon batch. Wow,
See, my worry is.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, my worry and my question was like about cracking and expanding, inside with all the yeast. That's my worry about doing a watermelon.
Well, what you would do is, what I would do is,
scrape it down to the white.
Even if it turns bad, that would be an awesome experience, though.
It would be you'd have to cut a small enough hole that you could seal it back up and put like an airlock in, but.
No, but the thing is, you got to get the watermelon out though.
Well,
Yeah.
you get a hole about that big, and you put a mixer in, and you mix it in. You can turn all the juice off, and still have stuff inside.
I don't know. I think you'd still be better off actually throwing that stuff in the secondary because you don't want to lose all the delicate flavor and aroma that you get out of watermelon because it really is a delicate flavor.
I think you'd be better off buying a 6-pack of Hell or High watermelon.
I was just about to say that.
What about the fun? What about the fun? So
It'd be a lot cheaper, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But it's only seasonable. So if you want this in
But
wintertime,
it
you're
would
gonna
be
have
a
to buy
great
it early.
experiment trying to ferment a beer in a watermelon.
I think so, too.
In October, they serve beer from pumpkins. They put taps on pumpkins and shit.
Yeah,
so.
but I heard people trying pumpkins and didn't have a vessel over it, and the pumpkin crack, and they had a lot of mess in their basement.
Well, Ashley's watching, and she said that she'd be more apt to use a pumpkin instead of a watermelon.
Well, there again, you could just use
But I don't want
use the
a
watermelon
pumpkin.
to serve. Use the watermelon to serve.
Just get your watermelon, and here's what you do: you cut your 2-inch hole in it, so Gil can fit his mixer in there, and then you just wrap the whole wrap the whole watermelon with duct tape, right? And then you pour the water out, put your beer in, and go for broke. That's what I say. Charles, are you in beer number 2?
Yes, I am.
What be it?
And before I go to that, I got one more comment from Ashley of going back to the Goza discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Just talking about the Westbrook version isn't really a Goza. She says it's a South Carolina Weiss.
Weiss, South Carolina.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's damn
that
good.
up.
That's what it is.
You know,
Hey, Beer Fairy.
as long as you get
I'm
that
sticking
lemon
with-
acid in there, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sticking with Omegang for my outdoor beers, and I've got their Witta.
Wit.
Wit, yeah, the wit.
No, they actually pronounce it Witta. at the
Witta?
brewery.
They're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought it was wit too. When you look at most reviews online, and they're all wit. It's not white, it's wit. But at the brewery, they actually pronounce it Witta.
I think that's
Kinda
very
surprised-
witty
shocked me.
of them.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite beer from their regulars.
Yeah, and this I think is usually their number one seller as well.
Really?
And it's their like white wheat beer.
I would have
Color
guessed that
on
Abbey
color on
Ale.
that is beautiful.
I would have guessed Abbey Ale was their number one seller.
Just passed it last year, but for most years I think this was their number one
Wow.
seller.
Anybody can drink that. That even people that don't like craft beer would drink that with no problem.
The more you
Yeah,
know.
and it's kind of a white wheat, I guess, in a way.
Thank you, Michael.
And it says
Well, that
it's got,
depends. What kind of wheat do they use?
well, it says here it's got Pilsner malt, and they've got unmalted and malted wheat, and some oat flakes in it, and that the hops are Spalt Select.
Oh,
Never
they put
heard of
oak.
those.
They
Oats.
put
That is,
oak.
that's kind of strange for
I
wheat.
know. I was just
Yeah,
about to say
that's
that.
odd.
Yeah.
And
Huh.
it's got coriander and sweet orange peel as the spices, and of course the Omegang house yeast.
Well, for
And
what it's
then
worth. Sorry, Charles.
Yeah, sorry, but this is anyone who drinks Blue Moon or Shock Top or any of that. Like,
I was about to say that. That's a good.
fake Belgian wheat.
It's a good version of a Blue Moon. Yeah.
Go over to the Omegang Witta and give this a try. This is what it should taste like.
But if you think that our job is kind of like missionaries and evangelists of craft beer and trying to gateway people in, and kind of what Linda was saying, how Hell or High Watermelon is a good breakthrough beer. If you think of how many people love Blue Moon and love Shock Top, maybe handing them one of these and say, hey, try this and tell me what you think about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only problem with that is we can't get that Omegang out here. So.
But yeah, Witta or whatever it's called, I think it's much better than it's a more complex beer, much more flavorful beer than Blue Moon is. And I have to say, Blue Moon is not a horrible beer. It's actually a fairly good beer.
Well,
That's what I started out with, but I mean, I wish I could get the Omegang. I'd drink it.
Gil, you gotta be mindful that you're saying that the wit is a much more complicated beer than the
Not
than Blue Moon,
complicated, a more complex.
okay, more
flavors.
complex.
Yeah.
But you gotta understand, your palate is a little more advanced than the average Blue Moon drinker, right? So the average Blue Moon drinker is probably gonna taste that beer and say, "Oh, this is good," but in my opinion, I don't think that's necessarily going to convert them into a craft drinker. Whereas if you give them Hell or High Watermelon and they taste this wheat beer that has this additional flavor component to it, they're like, oh, so this is what you can do with craft beer. I think
I'll tell you what. The thing about Omegang is that when you love their yeast, that they have a yeast strain that is like nothing else.
That's true.
But here's where I'm going to disagree with the whole evangelism piece of craft beer.
Okay.
You're only someone who is new to the scene is only going to get as far as they really want to. You can give them all that you want in terms of all these cool different styles, but they're not going to embrace it unless they really are curious about how far it goes and all the different options.
I'll give you that.
And I look back at how I got started. I had a friend that introduced me to, I started out with Guinness. Guinness was my go-to, and then a friend of mine introduced me to some of Pyramid's beers out in Seattle, and we actually went out to Seattle, and we went to the brewery, and I had this amazing chocolate ale. I was like, oh my god, this tastes like Tootsie Pops. and then had the Pyramid Apricot Ale, and then just had this wide array of beers. I'm like, I didn't know it could be this way. But it was because I was curious enough to want to try this and step into that world. And
But see, you're part also of a group that has a very accurate palate. You know, there's a lot of people there that, as foodies in general, that doesn't have that palate, and it probably for you is a much more different experience than for many other people that doesn't have that palate. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
No, but Michael, I'm sure Michael didn't have that. I'm sure his palate has developed over time, right? So when you first had this pyramid beer, your palate wasn't anywhere remotely close to what it is now. So
No.
Yeah.
I'll
Not
agree
at
with
all.
that. I mean, I've been doing IPAs over the past 8 to 10 months, and when I started, all IPAs to me, they all tasted the same. Every single one of them. They all just tasted like bitter. So I had to learn, but again, just like Michael said, I had to be curious enough to go out and say, I'm not tasting everything that everybody else is tasting, so I need to try it again.
Yeah.
And again, and again,
Yeah.
and again.
So real
And the
quick,
thing too with just one quick point.
Mhm.
Going back to like Omegang and other or Unibrow Brew or whatever. I mean, when you get into the Belgian realm, that house yeast is really going to make
Yep.
or break a brewery for a lot of people.
And you're either going to hate it or you're going to love it.
and
Yeah.
for me,
That is
Unibrow,
true. That is true. Yeah. I was about to say it. I'll comment after you, Randy, because I know what you're going to say.
Unibrow's yeast, I cannot get with it, and so I don't like any of their beers.
I was about to say, Randy and I was about to use that example. I like a lot of the Unibrew beers because I like the. So we have to be careful when we listen to other people. Oh, that beer is crappy or not. You have to decide for yourself. 'Cause
Yes.
I like when it broke, and Randy hates. But both of us, there's a lot of stuff we like it. We have a similar palate for a lot of stuff, but we have to be very careful how we get this whole.
Absolutely.
Right.
Grade, like what's a 5, what's a 4? I like this beer, like no, I like that
Well,
beer because.
That's one reason why I stopped entering brewing competitions, even with judges that have supposedly gone through their BJCP exams. They still end up judging to their preference and their opinion of what they think is this appropriate style. When really it's a range. And so every palate is entirely different. I could hand you this ballast point, and every single one of us is going to have a different perspective on what this beer tastes like.
Yeah.
Because of your
But
DNA.
we're all going to love it. That one we're all going to agree.
Although I have to say, if you say grapefruit sculpting is bad, there's something wrong with you.
You're high. You're high. You're dead to me.
So that would have been the perfect note to end on, but I do want Freddie to be able to get his second beer in.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Unless you don't
I
care.
guess it's out. No, it's I guess it should have been an outdoor beer, right? From what I think, but
Make up a story.
this is
What you
Prairie
drink,
Artisan
Justin?
Ales,
Oh.
Prairie Gold,
Mm-hmm.
and
Nice.
I know nothing. Obviously, I know Prairie, but I don't know anything about this beer. Nice. Beer, and it's pretty vague. It just says a sour bottle conditioned golden ale. So I'm like sour, and so I crack it open. I taste it, and this is I'm not sure. Jeff might know a little better than this, but this must be a saison. You get a lot of like that Brett funkiness, a little bit of citrus.
It's
I think it's a
you know,
farmhouse,
it's
right?
not- yeah, it's not truly a saison, but it's a wild ale, so that
Okay.
it's got both.
Yeah.
I think it's got 2 kinds of Brett and also lacto. You know, so it's tart, but it's not really.
It's
I
not-
guess it is a
it's not-
saison, but it's not a traditional
Yeah, it's not too
style.
tart whatsoever though. It's like it has a very very mild tartness to it.
But it's
almost like a
funk.
salty
It's funk.
tart. Yeah, it's like a big time that barnyard like that.
Yeah.
Brett.
Yeah, I would call it more like a farmhouse rather than a saison because you get a lot of the farm kind of
Yeah. I get
Horse
the funk.
animal, horse,
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, you get that.
funkiness.
Horse sweat.
Well, to be fair, that's more in the lactobacillus.
Yeah.
That's more of a. That's not a farmhouse ale. Farmhouse ale is actually synonymous with saison. So
Saison's the same thing,
you're,
right?
you're talking what you're talking about is a Brett when you get that horse blanket, that farm barnyard.
Well,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
not
that's what I'm saying. It smells like that.
if you get Jester King that they do a lot of wild yeast, from local, just open, or you get a ship, a cool ship, you get a lot of stuff in the air, and you get a lot of that weirdness from the
Yeah,
air.
well, it's what you do with wild yeast. You know?
Yep.
Well, I didn't hear what that. I guess that should have been my outdoorsy. I mean, farmhouse.
So what we really
that's outdoor.
So
Hey,
what we
Freddie.
really need is a big line of covered wagons and horses. Freddie up there driving a wagon.
Right.
Chuck wagon.
Overgrown
Baby
soil.
train.
That beer is usually a gusher, Freddie. When you opened it, was it a gusher?
Not at all.
Really?
Not at
Did you get
all.
that via trade or?
Yeah, I just got it in today. Yep.
Okay, because
And,
usually that beer is, I open that over the sink because it's going to go typically.
Eating away the sugars.
So, Lola, I know if history is an indicator, you're still on your first beer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that said, I'm very surprised nobody had, especially those of us on the East Coast, nobody had Terrapin's Recreation Ale tonight as a great outdoor beer. But I don't know. It's a poor man's version of High Life, I think, in my opinion.
Really?
No, I'm sorry. No. High Five is. My bad.
Yeah.
High Five, not Recreation Ale.
I didn't like the high five. I had that.
I thought I was gonna see somebody like all day or.
I'm surprised Gil didn't have all day, right?
That's what I was thinking.
So, nonetheless, Gil, Charles, do either of you guys know what next week's style will be?
Yeah,
I need to just go ahead and create a bookmark for that.
Pull up that document.
Yeah.
I don't even look until I actually go shopping for the month. So
Yeah, I have it here. It is.
Scroll.
I haven't heard of that. Style.
Next week
Tell me
is
about that.
celebrating. We're celebrating Breckenridge.
Blueberry
beers next week.
rhubarb?
Okay,
Oh
Breckenridge.
man, I have nothing.
Great.
No way.
All right. So, be sure to join us next week when we celebrate Breckenridge out of Breckenridge, Colorado.
No, that's not it. You got it
so-
wrong. Next week is lambics
I'll
and
eat a
gozas.
Slice.
Oh, the lambic.
What's
Yeah,
the other
we
one?
can swap those around and do lambic and
Just-
goes.
Just kidding. Be sure to join us next week when we celebrate. So now my demeanor changes a little bit.
Okay.
Be sure to join us next week when we celebrate lambics and gozas.
Not gozas, goozes.
Oh, goozes.
Yeah.
Not gozas, but goozes.
Come celebrate Anderson Valley.
I'm gonna go ahead and predict that 40% of the people will have Cuvée Rene, but we'll just see if
Or
I'm right
Cuvée Jacobin.
or if I'm wrong. That's a good beer, by the way. So, thank you for joining us. See you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.